So you want to visit Iceland and see as much as you can during your road trip. But here's the big question: which region is the one you'll actually fall in love with? Is it land of glaciers, mountains and black sand beaches? The alien-looking lava fields and bubbling sulfur? Maybe the wild, untouched Westfjords with their remote vibe? Or do you want to feel like a true explorer, driving on gravel roads surrounded by wildlife? There are even magical forests filled with flowers there. Yes, forests in Iceland. I've spent over 2 weeks filming cinematic series across Iceland, driving almost 4,000 kilometers. And if you're planning your own trip, I know exactly how exhausting it can be to choose where to go, especially when your time is limited. That's why in this video I'll break down the Iceland's regions, not only by geography, but also the feeling of being there. Here's Iceland divided into its official regions, but to make things simple, I use my own divisions, based on what it feels like when you're actually driving through the Ring Road and even the remote Westfjords. On this map, I'll only highlight the areas I actually visited, not every single corner of the region. So let's start this adventure with the Golden Circle, the most famous and also the most crowded part of Iceland. And make sure to stick around until the end, because I'll share my recommended road trip plans, basically how many days I would spend in each region. Here you'll experience wide, open landscapes that immediately put you in the mood for adventure. To me, it has a very American road trip vibe. This region is also home to some of Iceland's most iconic spots: the Geysir and its hot springs, Gullfoss with its massive and powerful waterfalls, and Þingvellir, the place where two continental plates meet. In some parts, the ground even almost turns red, so you can feel like you've stepped on the surface of Mars. But remember that you have to start early, because those places get very crowded, especially when the tour buses arrive. Next, let's move to the second region, what I like to call the welcoming south. If you enjoy green farmland and the sight of animals grazing freely, you'll love it here. This part of Iceland is lush and beautiful, with horses running through the fields and, of course, some of the country's most famous waterfalls. And the further east you go, the fewer tourists you'll see and the more adventurous the vibe becomes. Some of the iconic spots here are Foss, the powerful cartoon waterfall, Foss, where you can actually walk behind the water, and Reynisfjara, the dramatic black sand beach with towering basalt columns and lots of seagulls. Now the real journey begins, as we head further east and almost instantly enter a whole new world, the frozen south. Here the black sand beaches turn colder and blend with patches of ice. Lagoons are filled with floating icebergs, glaciers carve their way down to the sea, and instead of wide open farmlands, you're now surrounded by sharp, towering peaks. This place feels extraordinary, a complete contrast to the green scenery we've just left behind. It's also much less crowded, and from this point on you'll notice fewer cars and fewer tourists. Also, the sense of wilderness will be stronger with each passing day. We continue the journey, reaching another region, the remote east, the land of silence and winding fjords. Here the road itself becomes the main attraction, carving along the ocean with mountains rising straight from the sea. This is one of the least crowded parts of Iceland, and if you're lucky you might even spot a wild reindeer roaming through the valleys. When I visited in May, the whole area was covered in flowers, adding a softer beauty to the rugged landscape. And while driving along the fjords, keep an eye on the water. You might spot whooper swans gliding across the sea or suddenly flapping their wings right in front of you. Those that you see were just outside of Djúpivogur. We're still in the east, but now let's focus on one of my favorite areas. I call it the Eastern Forests. Everything around Egilsstaðir feels so different from anything I had seen before. After days of rugged mountains and harsh landscapes, my eyes couldn't believe in the lush greenery of the surrounding forests and the fields full of flowers. If you're looking for a peaceful, calming place to slow down and simply enjoy nature, this is perfect for you. For me, this place was truly magical. It's one of my favorite regions in all of Iceland, and it's actually here where I got inspired, almost called, to create this channel. That's why it will always stay special to me. If you're enjoying this journey, consider subscribing. It really helps me keep sharing both beauty of nature and behind the scenes of filmmaking. As we continue, the landscapes change once again. The greenery disappears and suddenly you find yourself in what feels like a post-apocalyptic desert. Endless volcanic plains, black gravel and steaming vents. It's like stepping straight into Mad Max or Fallout in real life. If you've ever dreamed of extraterrestrial experience, this is the place. Here you'll drive completely alone, surrounded by only barren wasteland with volcanoes looming in the distance. The region is full of steaming vents and sulfur fields, where the ground literally boils beneath your feet. I've actually made a separate cinematic film just about this area, so if you would like to see what it feels like, check it out. I'll link it here and in the description below. And just a bit further north, you'll find Dettifoss, the most powerful waterfall in Europe. It's absolutely a must visit. Then, if you want a complete contrast, I recommend heading into Ásbyrgi Canyon, a peaceful oasis of lush greenery, crystal clear water and abundant wildlife. And right at the edge of this volcanic wasteland, you'll find another surprising contrast, Lake Mývatn. This area is full of geothermal activity, colorful craters and surreal lava formations, yet the lake itself feels alive, surrounded by flocks of birds and often sheep and horses grazing nearby. For me, it's one of the best places to slow down and take a breath after all the alien-looking landscapes around. The next region is what I like to call the gentle north. Here you'll finally notice more people around, but still nothing that feels crowded. The landscapes are filled with life, from grazing sheep to birds flying over the fjords, though the atmosphere is colder and more arctic compared to the south. This is a place of history and climate. You can really feel the north here, both in the crisp air and in the character of the land. Do you already have a favorite region so far? Let me know in the comments. Beyond the dramatic mountains, you'll also find unique crater-like formations and something unforgettable: swarms of tiny midges. They're harmless, but they come in thousands, if not millions. And trust me, you won't forget them. This region is also home to the Iceland's second largest city, Akureyri. And I mean, come on, just look at their heart-shaped traffic lights. But be prepared, this is where you step back to the civilization for a little while. And now something for the true adventurers. The most remote and untouched part of Iceland, the wild Westfjords. Here you'll find deep abandoned fjords, endless gravel roads and landscapes that feel like the edge of the world. It's a place full of wildlife, changing moods and a raw, isolated beauty unlike anywhere else. I'm going to split it into two sub-regions. The first one is what I called the deep fjords, the northern part, centered around Ísafjörður. Here, long stretches of gravel roads take you through the valleys where the time feels frozen. You'll pass abandoned boats, crumbling buildings and small villages that seem forgotten by the world. Yet right along the road you'll find stunning waterfalls pouring straight from the cliffs. The icon of this region is Dynjandi, a massive waterfall that looks almost unreal. And don't forget Bolungarvík, a dramatic cliff above the town, but when I visited it was completely covered in fog. That's the Westfjords, the experience really depends on the weather. When the clouds are heavy, the atmosphere is dark and dramatic, but when the sun breaks through, the Westfjords turn into something out of a fairy tale. From here we continue south, to what I call the edge of the world. Gigantic green cliffs rise straight from the ocean, isolated towns are scattered between winding gravel roads, and everything feels far removed from the rest of Iceland. The highlight here is definitely Látrabjarg, the largest bird cliff in Europe. It's packed with puffins, seagulls and countless other birds, all nesting on cliffs that drop straight into the open Atlantic. Standing there with nothing but the ocean in front of you truly feels like the end of the world. If you would like to dive deeper into this feeling, the puffins, the cliff, the edge of the world, I've made a separate cinematic short film just about this place. Check it out here and in the description below. And then, out of nowhere, you'll discover a golden beach. Its sand glowing almost orange, a stunning contrast to the black beaches you've seen across the rest of Iceland. The last region of my journey is what I like to call Iceland in miniature, located on the western part of the Ring Road. It feels a bit like the Westfjords, but in a more compact and accessible way, without the same level of remoteness. Here you'll find some truly iconic sights. Sharp mountains rising from the sea, smaller yet stunning bird cliffs and colorful waterfalls like Hraunfossar and my personal favorite of them all, Bjarnarfoss. For me, this area feels like Iceland in a nutshell, all the beauty of the country concentrated in one region. The Snæfellsnes Peninsula especially left a mark on me, with its mix of dramatic coastlines, peaceful villages and that unmistakable Icelandic atmosphere. So after traveling through all these regions, you might be asking yourself, okay, but how should I plan my own trip? At the beginning of the video, I promised to share my own road trip tips. How many days would I spend if I had 10 or 14 days to explore? On the map you see here, I've marked the places where I stayed each night. This is the 11-night route I actually did, not counting the first and last night in Reykjavik. It was enough to visit all the main locations without rushing and still have time to film them properly. If you would like to see what I managed to capture during this route, check out my Cinematic Iceland series. I'll link it here and in the description below. If you only have 8 nights, I would suggest skipping the Westfjords. That way you still have time to experience the south and east, and I definitely recommend keeping at least 2 nights in the Mývatn area, it's worth it. And if I had more time, I'd personally add an extra night around Egilsstaðir and another one in the south, just to slow down, enjoy the landscapes and spend more time with the herds of horses. And that wraps up my journey around Iceland. If you would like to see what Iceland really looked like through my lens, click here for a Cinematic Iceland series. Thanks for watching and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video. It really helps me share more filmmaking adventures. And remember, let your films be shot by reality.